Caitlin Clark. The WNBA All-Star Game is upon us. And the perception that Caitlin Clark is hated and resented by WNBA players is not going away now. Caitlin Clark was number 1 among fans in the All-Star Game vote. She was number 3 among the media. She was number 9 among players. Not just number 9 among players, by the way. She was number 9 among guards. The players of the WNBA voted Caitlin Clark 9th in their All-Star Game voting, whereas the media voted her 3rd among guards, just guards, not everybody overall, just guards, and then the fans voted her 1st. That suggests that there's a level of resentment and that she's hated and that it validates everything people were saying about Caitlin Clark. None of that is true. Caitlin Clark is not undervalued by the WNBA players. The WNBA players were the most accurate in their voting of where they put people, specifically when you consider the fact that they did put Caitlin Clark 9th, and she deserved to be 9th. And I'm going to add something else. If you look at the advanced metrics, Caitlin Clark is actually overrated by WNBA players. Yes, that's right. I said it. WNBA players voted Caitlin Clark 9th among, WNBA players voted Caitlin Clark 9th among guards in the All-Star Game. And that leads people to think that WNBA players despise Caitlin Clark. But if you look at the advanced metrics, they are actually overrating Caitlin Clark. They're just not overrating her as much as the media who voted her 3rd or the fans who voted her 1st are. Caitlin Clark is not top 10 in any category in the WNBA except for assist, where to her credit, she is 2nd in assists per game. However, she's 12th in the league in points per game. She's 2nd in the league in assists per game. She's 2nd in total turnovers, despite missing nearly half the season, and is well above everybody else in turnovers per game at 5.9. Her 1.6 steals per game are tied for 10th. But she's only shooting 39% from the field, only 29.5% from 3. Neither are top 20, only 81.6% from the free throw line, also not top 20. Only 52% true shooting percentage, also not top 20. 0.7 blocks per game, not top 20. 5.7 rebounds per game. None of these are top 20. Her PER is 17, flat. Not top 20. Her win shares are 0.4, not top 20. Her win shares per 47 minutes. Her win shares per 48 minutes are 0.067, not top 20. Her offensive win shares are a negative 0.1. She has been a liability on offense this year, and that part of her game is her calling card, the elite shooter. Now, you can point out she's been hurt, and she has. She's missed nearly half the season. That would also lend itself to the idea that maybe she shouldn't be in the All-Star game because she hasn't been healthy. So the WNBA players are not wrong at all to vote her that low in the All-Star game. They were just more accurate in their interpretation of her than the fans or the media, and they still overrated her. All right, so let's look at some people who got more votes than her in the All-Star game, and we'll just go down the list. Paige Bueckers. Paige Bueckers has more points, steals, blocks per game, fewer turnovers per game, a better shooting percentage at every single level, a higher PER, higher win shares per 48 minutes. Sabrina Ionescu, more points, steals, fewer turnovers, better shooting percentage at every level, higher PER, higher win shares per 48 minutes. Ariel Atkins, the defensive specialist. Actually, I'll get back to her because there's a story there. So, Paige Bueckers, Sabrina Ionescu, both higher than Caitlin Clark, both deserve to be higher than Caitlin Clark. Among player ratings, players rated Alicia Gray number 1, higher than Caitlin Clark. Alicia Gray has more points per game, fewer turnovers per game, better shooting percentage at every level, higher PER, higher win shares per 48 minutes. By the way, Paige Bueckers and Sabrina Ionescu both significantly ahead of Caitlin Clark. This idea, it's because Caitlin Clark's white. So then why did they rank Bueckers so high as a rookie and Sabrina Ionescu 2nd? Okay, it's just ridiculous to suggest that. Still moving on, though. Kelsey Mitchell, Clark's teammate, who was ahead of her. Well, guess what? Kelsey Mitchell has more points per game, fewer turnovers per game, a better shooting percentage at every level, a higher PER, higher win shares per 48 minutes. Kelsey Mitchell has been better than Caitlin Clark. Moving on down the list, because we have Skylar Diggins. Skylar Diggins is averaging more points per game, fewer turnovers per game, better shooting percentage at every level, higher PER, higher win shares per 48 minutes. Clearly better than Caitlin Clark this year. As of right now, playing better than Caitlin Clark. Not up for debate. Okay. Now, there are two people. We couldn't get the full list of all the players who were voted ahead of Caitlin Clark. There are two people you could question. I will say one you could question, one you should absolutely be upset about. Brittany Sykes at number 7 is ahead of Caitlin Clark. And truth be told, Brittany Sykes is probably the closest to Caitlin Clark. More points, fewer turnovers, better 3-point percentage, slightly higher true shooting percentage, and a slightly higher PER win shares and win shares per 48 minutes. If Caitlin Clark's probably fully healthy, she probably is better than Sykes to this point. But, I mean, production has to matter, and Sykes has been better to this point. The other one is Natasha Cloud. That's just absolutely ridiculous. I'm not even going to dignify that. Natasha Cloud is not even averaging 10 points a game. Caitlin Clark is better than her at every level, but so are so many other players, and Natasha Cloud somehow as high as number 4. She should not be higher than Caitlin Clark. That's absolutely ridiculous. But we're not counting players that Caitlin Clark was ahead of who deserve to be ahead of her. That's one that's not being talked about, because in terms of being overrated, like I said, the players overrating Caitlin Clark, Jackie Young is below Caitlin Clark among player votes. Even though Jackie Young has more points per game, fewer turnovers, a better shooting percentage at every level, a higher PER, higher win shares, and higher win shares per 48 minutes. And Kelsey Plum is below Caitlin Clark, despite more points, fewer turnovers, better three-point free throw and true shooting percentage, better PER, better win shares per 48 minutes. And then finally, a couple of others that should be ahead of her that I don't know where they voted because I couldn't get the full vote on this, but they weren't on this list, but a couple of that are clear. Kayla McBride, fewer turnovers, better shooting percentage at every level, higher PER, higher win shares per 48 minutes. And Ariel Atkins should be significantly higher. Ariel Atkins, more steals, more blocks, fewer turnovers, better shooting percentage at every level, higher PER, higher win shares per 48 minutes. Yes, Caitlin Clark's averaging more points and more assists and more rebounds than Ariel Atkins, but Ariel Atkins is a defensive specialist and a more efficient shooter than Caitlin Clark this year. So I don't really think it's a question. So just going down the list of players that clear-cut should be ahead of Caitlin Clark: Paige Buchris, Serena Ionescu, Ariel Atkins, Alicia Gray, Kelsey Mitchell, Skylar Diggins, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Kayla McBride. That's 9. Brittany Sykes, I think, should also be ahead of Caitlin Clark at 10. So Caitlin Clark, at the highest, should be 11th among guards for the All-Star Game voting, and she's number 9. She is not being overrated by WNBA players. I'm sorry, she is not being hated on by WNBA players. They're actually overrating her by putting her at 9th, honestly. I think that was highly fair to do that. So I think it's ridiculous to suggest that. I think Caitlin Clark, again, has a great future ahead of her, but her shooting numbers and her shooting efficiency have dipped significantly. And without that, she becomes a liability because, again, she has a turnover problem. And because of her injuries, that's gotten worse this year. She's averaging 5.9 turnovers per game. That has got to come down. I do think if she took like a week or 2 off, just got fully healthy because she's dealing with this injury, maybe it would go down. I don't think she should force her way back. I mean, Indiana, I don't see a championship in store for Indiana this year. So I think they're 8-8. They're 500 just like they were last year. I say she take it, shut down the year, maybe tank. Michael, or just try to get fully healthy. Michael Jordan was held out his second year. There's nothing wrong with that. So try to get healthy. But right now, when you're looking at all-star voting, she was not an all-star. She's not an all-star. And I think it was right that they didn't put her there.